Well, it's been a long time since we've been here, isn't it? I mean, it's been ages since I did a video where I was personally on screen. Hey guys, it's me, not my avatar. Funny thing, that. Anyway, let's dive right into this, the meat and potatoes of this particular delicate platter of food I have in front of me today. And by delicate food, I mean food for thought and food for understanding, with the March of Our Lives thing going on, and people here and there talking about how they feel about guns and firearms and all the other happy horse shit. I find myself in a particular situation where I don't know how I feel. Well, I mean, I do know how I feel, but I don't know how I feel about all these idiots. 9 times out of 10, one of them has a particular motive where they are all about freedom in this particular case, but the minute that freedom gets talked about in this particular case, they don't want it. And I feel like that's something that needs to be touched on. Of course, I'll be diving into my thoughts about the Second Amendment as well, but I already kind of covered them in one of my own videos. But this is free range. I don't have a script in front of me. I'm just talking to the camera. This is a little heart to heart, if you will. For I feel like in the darkest of times, a man is best talking to a camera. I'm fucking joking. That's not really the case. Don't do that. But with the Second Amendment, you have people that will avidly defend the Second Amendment the minute you start talking about things like the freedom to choose what you put into your own body. They have a certain they turn their nose up at it. Now you see, it's something that needs a little airing out. It's been moldy. It's been sitting in the back of the car for a little too long. Your sunroof leaks. It gets rained on a few times, but you don't take it out because it's part of the ride, you know? The smell. It reminds you of warm summer days back in high school where you had no inclination of the concept of a full-time job, or no inclination of the concept of bills. Your parents paid your taxes, or paid your insurance for it, and your parents bought you your first car. But let's push that memory aside and get down to fundamental thing I'm talking about here, is that while people are all about freedom and the things that they see to be good or just in this world, they're not about freedoms they see for things they see to be evil or bad. Like in the example of a liberal, they think that all rifles are assault rifles and therefore inherently evil, and you put them in the hand of an 18-year-old and all of a sudden he wants to shoot up a school. However, there is a paradigm to this, because you have those on the right where they're completely fine with the assault, the AR-15, completely fine with the rifle in general that everybody else deems as an assault rifle. They're totally fine with that, and they can see the reason why it's important to the protection of the freedoms of the people that are involved. But when you start talking about, oh, I think people should be able to smoke marijuana, I think people should be able to do heroin, I think people should be able to fucking do cocaine if they want to, all of a sudden, no, they shy away from that because they think it's evil. See, this side thinks that one thing is evil, and this side thinks that other thing is evil. So, with that, you have a certain group of people that usually fall somewhat in the middle. Libertarians, centrists, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Me personally, I fall in libertarian. So that's where I sit. But when I say that I don't think marijuana should be illegal, I don't think cocaine should be illegal, I don't think heroin should be illegal, when I say those things, people immediately assume, oh, that means you're advocating for them. Does that mean you think that they're good for you? No, I'm not saying it's fucking good for you. I'm just saying your body. Do with it as you please. Same thing with the Second Amendment. You get people that, I support the Second Amendment, I defend the Second Amendment. Oh, does that mean that you think that everybody should go out and shoot up a high school? No. I just think that innocent people should be able to own a firearm if they want to. It's the Second fucking Amendment, dude. Come on. But no. There's no understanding. There's no reaching across the fucking hall of most of these people, because they immediately assume that you're some kind of evil, you're some kind of devil. You were spawn of Satan, pushed out of fucking Beatrice's vagina and wrapped in a snakeskin fucking suit when you were first born. You signed your name like a goddamn upside down pentagram with one side elongated. You are original sin in most of these people's eyes, because they don't They don't see you. They just see the issue. They don't want to deal with the fact that, you know, I've been around firearms my entire life. I've never hurt anybody with one. I mean, I've hurt myself. I got my hand caught in a few slides, but it's fucking my own stupidity. It was when I was young and dumb, before I learned how to use a tool, essentially. But if you want to go to that, how about all these people that hit themselves in the head with hammers? Those hammers, man, they're a dangerous weapon, man. They reach right out, smack you in the face, and you're not like, no, you're a fucking idiot. You hit yourself in the head with a hammer because you're inexperienced. But that's a rant of its own. I'm not talking about the whole helmet or the whole hammer to the head thing. I mean the whole concept of inexperience and misdirection overall, and the concept of who the fuck is capable of understanding these things and who isn't. But we have an issue in this country where we have a group of people that seem to think that groups of people, excuse me, it's plural at this point, that seem to think that ultimate government control is a good idea, because the ultimate government control means that the government come in and dictate in your life what you can and can't do. But to anybody that has to deal with things like the DMV on a regular basis is well aware of the fact that the government isn't capable of even keeping themselves in fucking line. When they have millions upon millions of dollars to spend of taxpayer money to put towards fucking education and whatnot of their own fucking constituents, they can't even manage to keep themselves running smoothly. We talk about a well-oiled machine. These fucking, if the government was a goddamn engine, it would have the worst case of rod knock I've ever heard. And I made a post not that long ago on Twitter about rod knock. How is it whenever I'm watching a dyno video, I can almost hear the engine about ready to pop? Well, if the government was this goddamn engine, that thing would be crying out for help louder than a Jew in an oven. But that's a dark joke. But let's go down that route. We talk about the Second Amendment. I talk about the Second Amendment, the First Amendment a lot. I believe in the concept of free speech. I believe in people should be able to own firearms. Why? Because most people that own firearms are fucking common civil individuals. 300 million fucking firearms. Hundreds of millions of firearms in the United States. Yet the amount of death caused by them are in the thousands. If firearms were an issue, that number would be significantly higher. But go off on a little bit of a tangent. When it comes to the First Amendment, you see, people that defend the First Amendment have to get detractors from all sides, because detractors from all sides are saying that just because you say that this person should be allowed to say it means that you agree with them. No. I can look you in the eye and say that I personally believe that an individual should say what they say. It does not mean that I have to agree with them. I am perfectly fine with Obama saying what he said. I am perfectly fine with Trump saying whatever the hell he wants to say. Those are two separate things. When it comes to dark humor, especially, I'm going to crux of my argument here. Humor is subjective. With the Kathy Griffin thing, given an example from the left. Cringy. Alright, I thought it was cringy. I didn't think it was funny. Those two things are very important, because you see, you start making legislation, you start making laws and setting precedents by enacting laws in courts. You start pushing forward people to look at you and say, well, the law says that you can't do that, so you're not allowed to do that. In Count Dankula's situation, he got dicked over by a law that was written, or a doctrine that was made back in 2003. And I already did a video about that as well, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But regardless, in that situation, in that video, I said, if you disagree with the joke, you don't find it funny, that is fair. You find it offensive, that is fair. However, my issue is the law got involved. The government got involved. If the hand had not gotten pushed and the hand had not gotten pushed into an act and doing something, I would have had no issue with people having an outcry about it, because you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want to say. You're allowed to be offended by whatever you're offended by. However, in contrary, I'm allowed not to fucking give a shit if your whiny little bitch ass is fucking offended. But with the Second Amendment side of it, the Second Amendment is second for what reason? For what reason? What reason do people like, oh, the Second Amendment is, or excuse me, our forefathers are sitting around is like, oh man, Second Amendment, what should we do for a Second Amendment? Core principles of our entire society and our entire nation. What should we put as our Second Amendment? And they came up with the idea, let's have the right to bear arms. And some will say, oh well, it's only for the regulated militia. Well, actually, what regulated actually meant was that they were educated about what firearms are. Which back in that day, everybody had held and fired a firearm at least once in their life. They were well aware of what was the dangerous end. But it also did state for the security of the state. No, the state versus the federal government in this situation. This is the federal government versus state, federal government from state. But that's the video for another time. These people seem to think that every individual that is pro-Second Amendment is pro-people owning whatever firearm they want and committing whatever act of violence that they want. No. A lot of us believe that an armed society is a polite society because you might be more deterred from stealing from your neighbor if you're well aware that your neighbor has a fucking rifle and has no qualms whatsoever about putting a round in your ass if you're fucking with his shit. That's just the way human nature works. But on that, this group is also the same kind of group that seems to think that the United States is a horrible fucking country. But, brief moment here. And these people seem to think the United States is such a terrible fucking government they can leave. No, seriously, they can get the fuck out. I'll pay for the ticket. I'll have them pass. Oh, there's a stipulation here. A little bit of kickback. Once you leave, you can't come back. No, there's no. Oh, I don't want to live in Maoist China. It's oppressive here. I don't care. You left. This country was so fucking terrible. You wanted to go to a communist country. There you go. You want to go to a country where there's no firearms. Go to Canada. Those people in Canada do have firearms. They don't have the laws we do down here. They don't have the firearms we do down here. But you can go right up there. Go ahead. You can't come back. We can go. Leave. I'll help you pack. Call me up. Seriously. Call me up. I'll fucking help you pack. I don't give a shit. It's a lot of the the grass is greener on the other side mentality, or these people that America had a little bit of a shifty past sometimes. Oh, when you're saying America is great, you're obviously a white supremacist. Do you not know that Americans had slaves? No, I'm aware of that piece of history. I took 7th grade history too there, pal and amigo of mine. But here's a little fun fact for you. So did everybody fucking else. So while we cry and wear wet towels of sad sorrows that we jerked off to and when we were 13 and also happens to be our safety blanket from the time that we are 8, while we cry into that towel and try to pretend like everything that we do is justified and everything that we do is moral and everything that we do is for what we view as the common good, and those of us out there that are in our teenage years that are doing things that they seem to think are for the greater good, taking away innocent people's rights just because one guy happened to do something fucking idiotic as a scumbaggery that I personally believe he deserves a fucking round in the back of his head, but that's just me. While all of you are out there doing that, and in the future, if this eventually does come to fruition, the fruition that you want it to come to, when all the fundamental cores of the United States Constitution have been torn down and broken apart in each individual fragment and understanding, and each syllable is torn apart from mere shred and wherewithal within to be separated and divulged into whatever group you happen to see fit. When all that happens, and crooked spires reach like dark towers towards the heavens, and what was once a fucking great country is now a dystopian future. In 1984 epitomized into a personal fucking doctrine. Do not cry. Do not whine. Do not piss and moan. This is the future that you wanted. With that said, there's one of two ways that this world is going to go. And either way looks pretty fucking good right now. So, put your heads between your fucking legs and kiss your ass goodbye. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening. I'm the fuck out of here.